Welcome to the Private Lenders Podcast with your hosts from Hard Money Bankers, Jason Balin and Chris Haddon. This podcast is sponsored by hardmoneymastermind.com.
Hey everyone, Chris and Jason here. Thank you for checking out the show. If you haven't done so already, go check out the new and improved hardmoneymastermind.com. And also, our software sponsor for the podcast and the mastermind group is Lender Software, LENDR software.com. Go check it out. And for listening to the show, they will give you a $250 discount on the setup. Okay, big topic today. AI for private lenders. Some of this came up. We had a mastermind meeting in town last week here in Maryland, and this came up in a few different ways. By the way, we're going to do a recap of that meeting here in the near future, but we want to talk about it. Obviously, it's early on, right? Everyone knows that we're very early in AI. And at this stage of the game, how are private lenders using artificial intelligence to improve their operations? That's what we're talking about today.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think there's anything revolutionary yet. Like, hey, do this whole thing for me.
Right.
But there's definitely stuff that we're doing literally every day in AI, ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, some other some other ones that we access every day. Literally every single day we're using stuff. And a lot of folks in the mastermind group as well last week, I noticed, were as well. So we're going to go through kind of some of the things that we're using, and hopefully it's helpful for you, because there's no reason not to be using some sort of AI involved in your lending business right now, because it just saves a heck of a lot of time. It saves a heck of a lot of time. And again, it might not be the most revolutionary stuff, but I mean, at this point, it's one of those things that, like, after you're introduced to something, you're like, well, how did I ever live without it? How were we were able to do things without it? And I catch myself pretty much on a regular basis, multiple times, doing lots of different tasks inside some of these platforms. So one of the things that, as we've been building out our website and been creating more content, our updated website, creating more content, doing some more localized SEO, we've really used ChatGPT mostly for help. Myself, along with one of the SEO guys that helps me with some of this stuff. But we've been able to create kind of framework and acting as like SEO experts in order to create page frameworks. I guess that's the easiest way to say it, of like, what needs to be on the page, how it should look, what type of content, keywords, things like that. Now, again, we're not just having ChatGPT write the entire page. Like, this is still authentic content that we are putting together ourselves and writing in our own words as the actual expert in this space. But we're using that as a framework and using that kind of as a template. And I think that's kind of important. Another kind of quick content thing that we've been doing is I've done a lot of what are called private money minutes, which are like short segments of good content in order to help real estate investors do more deals. And we host them on our website. And if you go into if you go into YouTube, you can actually get the text of that content. So one of the things that we do is we take the video, we convert it into text, then I take that text and I put that into ChatGPT and I summarize that and turn that into a blog post. Now, although it's our authentic content, because I did the video myself, we still go in after the text is written in ChatGPT, and then a copywriter, it wasn't me doing, now it's a copywriter doing some of this, is rewriting some of that stuff, right, in our own words or in our own language, based on what ChatGPT spit out. So it's been a way for us to really not just elevate, but like expand a lot of the content that we're doing, on page stuff that we're doing on our website. And again, this isn't like, hey, ChatGPT, write me a whole website, do 100 blog posts for you. Like that's capable of doing that in 5 minutes, but that's not, like, I don't think that's going to get anybody very far to do that, right? Like, Google and every other search engine for the most part can see right through that. The point is we're using this as a framework and it's doing a lot of the heavy lifting, and then we're going up and we're going in and then we're cleaning out a lot of that content. So, you can do that for emails. You can do that for everything inside your business.
Yeah, I was going to mention that about emails. Like that's an easy, really anything content wise, like it's a no brainer to have that as a tool. Like a couple times recently, I have written out an email and then thrown it into ChatGPT and say, please rewrite this email in the style of Ramit Sethi or Russell Brunson or another writer, copywriter whose style I like. And I'll see if, and honestly, like sometimes it comes back and I'll be like, nah, I prefer my version. But sometimes it's not. Sometimes like, oh yeah, that's well written. I'm going to use that. For content stuff, it's a no brainer. And we're going to go through a couple other examples too. One, so we lend in 7 states now, and foreclosure laws vary a lot state to state. And one day, this is a month or two ago, so we have a few different originators, a few different areas, and a couple of them are asking me about the foreclosure process here and there. And so instead of just fielding questions back and forth, I put all of our states into ChatGPT and said, please give me the foreclosure process and timeframes for a foreclosure, for a residential investment property foreclosure in blank state. And then I did that for all of them. And it gave some really good detailed answers on what happens and when, and it gave all these time frames, this many weeks, this many months. And so I was able to just share that document with our team so that I didn't have to field this question. I didn't have to call up the lawyers, like none of that, right? So that, there you go, saved a lot of time that day and also moving forward, because obviously you can refer back to these things. Yeah, I mean, getting creative with it. You want to talk about the I know some people in the mastermind are testing out some both inbound and outbound call, like AI agents doing phone calls.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to what you said related to the foreclosure process. Then we'll get to that related to just it being a research assistant for you. We've heard a lot of different, big name podcasters and news articles about how AI is going to not just interrupt, but take over industries. And there was even an argument that they were like, hey, I wouldn't send my kids to law school anymore because, a lot of that stuff might not, be needed down the road. I don't know if that's going to be true or not, but I'm just, relaying of what I've heard multiple times. But like, there's definitely a lot of legal research that I'll look at. I was, again, this isn't necessarily to prevent having us call an attorney or some of our legal teams to do stuff, but it is to get some basic information first, so I don't have to go down that road. A good example was a title exception on a title policy that happened recently, where in essence, like I wasn't 100% sure what that meant. So, type the Schedule B2 exception into ChatGPT, and I was able to get a very, very, very good, clear picture. And I needed a little bit more information on it, so I did call Harris, who's one of our attorneys that does our doc prep, to ask him about it. And he was like, "Yep, that's exactly right. Set up like this, and this." But I didn't have to waste time, money in order to do so. So anything kind of research assistant wise, like asking questions, things like that, it's a good first step. As well as like spreadsheets and things like that. Like we have an I have an Amers. We have lots of different calculators that we use through Google Sheets. Most of them are ChatGPT written to begin with. Amortization spreadsheets. Like back in the day, what I would have to do, because at some point we're not doing amortized loans now, but like we did do shorter term amortization loans early on, or early on. And what I'd have to do is I'd have to go to YouTube. I'd have to watch the video. I'd have to go through all these different things to figure it out. Now it's writing a prompt and doing it. So it made life a lot easier. So again, like research assistant stuff, or just rewriting things in general. Like we'll do this podcast, and then we're gonna need a title for it. So I'm gonna figure out, what's a good title for some of these things. What's a good description for YouTube? What's a good description for our podcast? When we send this out to our email list, what are some things to mention, some bullet points related to this episode. So just a lot of things that could save time. One of the things that some folks in the mastermind group are testing, and we're testing this as well because we're building out a CRM and go high level, is inbound and outbound calls. I don't believe the tech's there well, I shouldn't say I don't believe the tech's there yet, because it probably is there some places. We haven't been able to build it out to make it worth our while, because a lot of this is like teaching them, teaching these AI bots exactly kind of what you want them to say. So I haven't messed with the outbound one yet, but I have messed with the inbound one. And the way that internally we're trying to do this inside our office is probably similar to the way that our AI, what's it called? Our AI, the chatbot is set up, where, you feed it a bunch of Q&A, and then in essence, they not necessarily pre-screen, but like, they go through some basic Q&A on the phone. Now, the goal isn't to replace a human. If there's one thing that I've learned from, being involved in this business, along with masterminding with hundreds of other private lenders throughout the country, is like, this is still a localized business, and this is still a person-to-person offline business. It just is. Like, you need to build relationships, and you have to have a human element on it. Like, I can't put a chat person in place just to like take questions and stuff like that. Like, this is relationship. People are doing loans with people that they like. We're not the cheapest, and we don't have the highest leverage. So I need to have other compensating factors, which is I'm local, I'm quick, I'm easy, and you talk to the decision maker, the person that has the money. So take that aside. But what it could do is, like, we're not answering the phone 24/7. Our phone still rings all hours of the night. Maybe an inbound chatbot, or can handle some of the easy Q&A, and with the goal of, let's try to get a little bit of questions answered, get a phone number, get an email address, and Jason will call you back in the morning. And that's how our current one is getting built, where in essence, like, I'll wake up in the morning, and the folks that have tried to interact with our company between whatever 6 p.m. and 8 a.m. will just be in my call log of like, this person tried to call in, this person chatted, this is what they're kind of interested in. And those are the first few phone calls I make every morning.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's like a catch-all kind of thing. I think it's better than if they can have some basic Q&A. I think that provides more value to the caller than just like an answering machine or go to our website, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember Danny from the Mastermind group also mentioned that he's working on testing outbound calling, like giving it same kind of stuff. Like, you have to teach it the answers to the questions and some basic Q&A type stuff. And then it's going to be making a massive amount of outbound calls to real estate investors of some sort. I don't know exactly where he's sourcing that data, and then the goal is to transfer to a live person, transfer to an underwriter who can talk about your specific deal, right? But just like flood in the airwaves with outbound calls trying to get a live transfer. And we'll see how that goes. I know he's in preliminary stages on that, but he is moving forward with it. So we'll see.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Like, there's a day and age. Like, I was thinking about this. Like, if people know it's AI, and if they know it's not a live person, does that just eliminate this whole thing of like, this is AI, hang up? Or is it just common where it's like, yeah, I know this is AI, but it can still answer my questions, so I don't really care? Because and that's probably where it gets to with a lot of this stuff. So one quick favor from everybody: if you have a really good AI tool, or you're using AI inside your hard money lending business, please comment below if you're listening to this, or if you're watching this on YouTube, because every day we're talking to other lenders in the group, and we're asking them what they're using AI for, and you'd be amazed. Like, these are the things that we kind of are currently using it with, but a lot of people are doing a lot of really cool things with it. Some really sophisticated, some pretty basic. A lot of it is, and listen, writing, content is not basic, obviously, but it's things that, are just saving people tons and tons and tons of time. It's only going to get better and better. So if you're doing anything with AI and you want to share it with the group, make sure you comment on this video.
All right, guys, that is the pod for today. We appreciate you checking out the show. Until next time, we'll see you inside hardmoneymastermind.com.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Private Lenders Podcast. Please note, that the opinions stated by all the speakers on this show are only opinions and not intended for legal, financial, or accounting advice. Please make sure to always check with your own legal, accounting, and financial professionals. If you enjoyed this episode of the Private Lenders Podcast, we'd appreciate it if you would spread the word. Make sure to check out hardmoneymastermind.com, the #1 free community for new and experienced private and hard money lenders.